And here we are in chapter 21, developing mental toughness. In fact, the things he says about this, that this is the game changer, this is the difference. Mental toughness is more important than talent, than experience, than education, than skills, or than techniques. That mental toughness is truly the separator between those that succeed in a high level in sales and those that bounce from job to job. In fact, I love that quote, and I may not find it in the moment yet. I will, because it so ties to our industry and what we witness time and time again with people that are here in and around real estate, thinking it's easy. Boy, they've seen the movies, they've seen the TV shows. You drive around, you show a few houses, you make boatloads of money, and they don't really understand that the grind is a key component of this. So I'm looking forward to hearing from what you guys pulled directly out of 21. I want to make sure that we are staying on this today, because there is nugget after nugget after nugget in here that can help everybody in this room build this attribute of mental toughness. So what do you guys have?
I'll go grab my books. I have it in hand, but I really liked the vehicle references, the rocket fuel, the taking care of yourself. Like, you need to be physically right is probably a prerequisite, or definitely a key pillar of being mentally tough. And also toward the end of the chapter, I don't know exactly what page it was on, it's talking about like a final step for mental toughness being the will or power to make one more call. Just do one more. And I thought that's a fantastic segue to this next book that I previously read and looking forward to reading again.
Awesome. And I love that you actually use the language, this pillar, and these 4 pillars of mental toughness. And the one you're hitting on is physical resilience. That your body is going to be prepared to do this work and to feed that thing on top of your neck. What's intriguing to me that most people don't know is of every part of your body, your brain consumes 25% of the calories. The more you're thinking, you are truly chewing through calories. You're in front of a room working, you're really chewing through calories. Okay? So you've got to have your body prepared. And as he says in here in the physical resilience, that means regular exercise, getting the blood flowing, getting out there, getting good sleep. I've been really working on that piece myself, getting better sleep, higher quality sleep, eating healthy. Okay, those things together, eating on a regular basis, eating with the purpose of putting into your work. All great stuff, Justin. Who else?
Yes.
All right, Dorothy, what do you got out of chapter 21?
It's nice to have it all put together in this chapter. When you are on top, attack yourself. And I don't think he means that in a negative way. I think he means it in, okay, slack off for 1 minute. That was nice. Now, how are you going to go one better? I had the good fortune to have a mother who was time blocked and disciplined herself. So her 4 girls also had to be time blocked and self disciplined. And we didn't even know she was doing it to us. But you had to practice piano 30 minutes a day. You had to practice a second instrument 30 minutes a day. And I had to practice ballet an additional 30 minutes a day. Plus, I had my 3 hours outside while she was teaching piano lessons that I had to play outside and throw green apples. And that's all I had. That's mental toughness.
Yeah.
And if we came home and complained about something from school, she'd say, well, improve yourself, and walk out. And I never felt bad when she would say that. I never felt that she was being abusive. I felt like, oh, yeah, now how can I do that better? So God bless her for being
Yeah.
tough like that. She was tough on herself.
Well, that is an absolute key component of it. And I'm going to mute you, Celeste, for a second, and I will bring you back, I promise. And thank you for bringing this component in, because this very end of this chapter, when you are on top, attack yourself. When you win, when you get there, when you have those moments of high level of success, like you get the listing, celebrate for the moment, take a moment, celebrate, congratulate yourself, bask in the spotlight. But do not slip into the false comfort of contentment or the delusion that it's all downhill from here. I see time and again, agents finally get into prospecting. They get on the phones, they crank, they set appointments, they get some pendings, and they start looking at how much money's coming in from those pendings, and they get complacent. They continue to celebrate, they continue to bask, and then all of a sudden they're back starving again, and they're living this up, down, up, down, up, down. So I love the next sentence, and here's my advice. When you're in second place, because competitiveness is a key part of this, you attack the leader. And when you're in first place, attack yourself. So what's next? What's the next step in my growth journey? How do I get better? How do I get more? It was so much fun. Kim, we were talking Monday, and she has double-digit listings now. Awesome. Which then Coach Russ made sure he anchored. If she has double-digit listings now, what does that mean for time going forward? That's right, Carrie. We're going to grow beyond that now. We'll always be double-digit. And are we getting to having 20 listings at any one time and 30 listings at any one time, and continue to push it, grow it? Kim is one of the queens of attacking herself and continuing to plus her activities. Celeste, what do you got? You had a cough. You also had something to say. You're still muted. And now your phone's not unmuting. It's pretty adorable. There you go.
Okay, there we go. So sorry. Real quickly, I just wanted to highlight the page 247 at the very top. 7 things that James Lohr referenced, and one of them really stood out to me, and that is minimizing negative energy. People who you were hanging out with talking negative, that's why I love this group, because it's all positive.
Well, one more thing on that, Celeste, because in this, minimizing negative energy means clearing those influences out. But for most of you, who tends to be the biggest bringer of negative energy in your world? Yeah,
Other
Carrie's
realtors.
that drunk monkey, that story, that chirping. I see time and time again Celeste succeed, and then she'll go, yeah, but, and let that drunk monkey chirp away. We are silencing that bugger. We are shutting them down. We're going to, like he says, celebrate our successes. And then the attack ourselves is the plussing. Go back to, I told you guys before, I have always had a coaching attitude, even when I was coaching 6-year-old T-ball and 6-year-old football, of yes and. Here's what you're doing amazing, and here's how we're getting better. Not what you did wrong, how you're plussing what you're doing right. If all of you just leaned into the things you do right and then just kept plussing the lead gen, magic will happen. What else do you guys have?
Optimism.
Optimism.
Are so many things going on around us all the time to worry about. And I don't pay any attention to the news. I skim the headlines. Okay, that's it. That's it. I don't even want to hear it. Instead, focus on where, when, and how you can create value for others and for yourself. And guess what? It's more fun. And
That
that's
was
the deal. Has to be fun.
That was from the book Never Hire a Bad Salesperson Again. Dr. Chris Croner, Rich Abraham described mental toughness in salespeople using 3 dimensions. Number 1 was optimism. When you get knocked down, optimism tells you that if you can look up, you can get up. Where your eyes go, the rest will follow. Optimism is the mother of perseverance. I, this morning, had almost a brawl with a fellow coach who got up this morning and started telling me all the reasons why some training coming up isn't really going to happen. Telling me how the market is bad, how people don't want to learn right now. Just kept going all this negative crap. And he finally said, "You're not listening to me." And you know what my answer was? You're right. I'm not. I don't believe that crap. I know if we bring incredible content, just like we do in this room, think about this. I was told years ago this would never work. People would not show up consistently 30 minutes a day because they're too busy. They wouldn't show up consistently 30 minutes a day because they'd get bored. I was told all the reasons why not. And instead, I always choose to focus on how to. That's the game changer. Make that shift and be looking instead how to, whatever it is. Elon Musk, one of my favorites in this. How many of you 5 years ago and beyond truly believed it would be physically impossible to have a rocket that's all squirrely land back down? What the hell was he thinking? All the science said that cannot be done. And instead, he focused on how to, where there are a number of glorious failures along the way. And that there was never once that he went, "Oh my gosh, that was horrible. Oh, I can't believe we did." It was, "Dude, that was awesome." And how are we going to plus it?
Right.
Carrie, I see your mic on. What do you got, my dear?
Well, 2 things, like, right, it's always coming from a problem-solving place, nothing else, right? What I was going to say is on page 251, I know these numbered things right here are things we think about in the very, very beginning of our career and probably every 6 months to a year after that. But I'm going to be super vulnerable here and tell you that recently I went on an interview and I have to make the decision of whether to do that or to stay in real estate and just keep doing that. So I've decided that I'm just going to stay in real estate because this is something I've really wanted for a really long time. And in this position in the past, I've always chosen to go back to work just to have the consistency of the money. But I'm at the point where I just want to put it into real estate and just keep going. It's scary, but the truth.
So here's an amazing thing, Carrie, and I want you to go back to page 247 again, because you're right in this cusp of a moment of truly changing the trajectory of your life. Because obviously I've known you for a long time. I've seen the pattern, and you are now breaking the pattern. Page 247, you have to grind to shine. In sales, you can only control 3 things: your actions, your reactions, and your mindset. Losing is a choice. Mediocrity is a choice. When you choose mediocre behaviors, you get mediocre results. And once you allow mediocrity into your sales day, you become a bad luck magnet. This choice is one of the key reasons so many salespeople find themselves job hopping. This choice is one of the key reasons so many real estate salespeople find themselves brokerage hopping. Despite the training of each new company, despite the coaching, despite the mentoring, despite the tools, eventually these salespeople wash out. They have everything they need except mental toughness. So here's what I want to plant for all of you. There are people in this room, including me, that believe in you more than you believe in you. Borrow our belief, borrow our mental toughness, borrow our knowledge and lean into it. And then take those conversational moments that you create with us. I know Mark's a great one. I know Camacho's a great one. I know Caesar's a great one. There's so many people in here, except everybody who has a camera off. I'm not going to speak out about you. Guys, lean into each other. Help each other. And by the way, you've got to make sure you're not joining the pity party. This morning, in that moment, I could have been in all agreement. You're right, the market's tough. You're right. People are resistant to spending money and training and investing in themselves right now because dollars are tight, inflation, all that. I could have bought into all that crap. I refuse because I know what's on the other side of doing the work consistently with a great attitude, because I see it with people that are in this room doing it every day. Dorothy, I see your mic on. What do you got, my dear?
I forgot what I was going to say.
Fair enough.
Hey, Coach, can I tell you a story?
Mark, brother, talk to me.
So 25 years ago, I went to a real estate conference. I've never been to a conference before in my life. I didn't really know what it was. It was a training event. And so I said, all right, let me go check this out. Anyway, when I was in the conference, it was a whole all-day event. I was listening to the speakers and they were mesmerized. I just couldn't believe it. And when I was a young man, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. So I can't read very well. I don't know how to spell very well. And I was a welder for most of my adult life until I got into real estate. And everybody knows everything about real estate's all about reading contracts and writing and all that stuff. And I don't know how to do any of that. So anyway, this guy's on stage and I walk up to him. I'm in line. You know, usually after an event, everybody goes up and talks to the presenters. And I'm about 5 deep in this line. And they're asking these amazing questions. And I don't even know what to ask this guy. And I'm just like in awe. And I just said, hey, would you like to go running in the morning? I'd love to pick your brain. So the presenter says, sure, meet me at 6 o'clock. We'll go run and, you know, we'll have a little conversation. So I meet this gentleman in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. He's out there stretching. And the first thing he asked me is, what books are you reading? That's the first question he asked me. And I said, I haven't read a book in 30 years. I said, I'm not a very good reader. I don't know how to spell. And he stopped me dead in my tracks right then and there. And he said, don't ever say that again. Don't ever say that again. He said, if you say you can't read, you're not going to know how to read. If you say you can't spell, you're not going to know how to spell. And then he from there, he gave me a book, and the book was E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And that was the first time in my life somebody told me I don't have to accept what somebody else diagnosed me of. That was the first mindset switch that I had in my life. And then from that moment on, I said to myself, you know what? I can do these things. I just had to work harder. That's all. And by the way, that person was Don Hobbs.
Well, first of all, I can't believe, that Don was actually able to keep up with you in the running. I just want to put that out there, because there's a slight difference between the two. But yeah, Hobbs is always amazing again now that he's in the room. As we talked before, people that you can lean into. There's another one that's not going to tolerate you not believing in you as much as he does. Dorothy, do you remember now what you were going to say?
No, I remember a different thing.
Okay.
This is in response to Mark. When I was 10 years old, the history teacher said we had to read silently in class. My eyes would get stuck on a word and wouldn't move, which I gather is a kind of dyslexia. The other kids would all laugh and make fun of me. And I would feel, but I still have difficulty reading, but I have a PhD from Duke. I have read thousands of books. If I may, can I tell how to read a book, please, sir?
Let's hold that, because I think that could be some great content rather than this mindset space, because everybody does things different. All right. And I want to make sure that I give others in this room that opportunity to speak up, because there's still huge nuggets in this content that we haven't touched on.
I said, okay, thank you. And it makes it easy the way I know how to read a book.
Fantastic. What do you guys have? Let's go. Get those books out. Look for those highlighted sections. Wow, I scared one off, Don. We just lost somebody. Oh my gosh.
So I thought it was pretty awesome on page 253, I think it is, where he's talking about being an urban warrior and getting the chainsaw and all this. And that's like one of the most commonly cited analogies in all of personal self-development, where, things sharpen the axe, sharpen the saw, sharpen the blade. And he says his son says to him, "Daddy, maybe you need to sharpen the saw." And he wanted to lie to himself about it. Like, he didn't even want to embrace it. Like, had to know, but you don't want to be wrong. I guess he doesn't talk about it or doesn't elaborate on it, but I guess even the trainer is going to be apt to want to lie to themselves instead of taking the lesson and doing something with it.
Especially when you're in front of people that you have the attitude you're attempting to impress. I mean, I love how we open this, man. I am an urban warrior personified. Gloves, check. Safety glasses, check. Chain oil, check. Fuel, check. Brand new leather tool belt so I look like a badass, check. 14-year-old son to haul all the trees away, check. And because his son was there, here I am showing him how to be a man, and all of a sudden, gosh, it's almost like I'm driving and I have to ask for directions. I should just know. So I want you guys to lean into, as we've grown, that you get to be vulnerable. Just like Carrie stepped in and said, I'm going to be vulnerable. Here's where I am. That's where your success actually occurs. That's where you truly impress people, when you're authentic, when you're vulnerable, when you're who you are with your screw ups and all. Hell, there's been times I followed this model and the chain was installed backwards. It happens. Jeanette, what do you got, my dear?
Just right in the first line. That's fanatical prospectors receive more rejection by 9 a.m. than the average person gets in the entire year. So, should we be making calls before 9 o'clock in the morning?
When
yes,
did I start calling expireds?
Probably about 7:30 in the morning.
Exactamundo. Yep.
And when I was doing expireds and withdrawals, that's when I started calling them too. So
if I'm up early, who do I call for? Let's say I'm up at 5 o'clock. Who do I call? We talked about it at lunch, Jeanette. Who would I call if I want to make calls at 5 a.m.?
Build yourself up.
Now, who would I call at 5 a.m. if I wanted to make calls?
First people in California.
People in California. East Coast.
East Coast.
FSBOs have raised their
East
hands.
Coast, yeah.
Like a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
Agents calling me 11 to 12 o'clock at night because they have an offer to send or something else. I love calling FSBOs. And maybe, just maybe, you'll catch them in a right moment. It's all just turning over rocks, having fun, getting better. Let's go. Hobbs, you got a mic hot. Now, I'm going to save you, Hobbs, because I always love closing with you, brother, because you bring magic to the room to anchor people. Doug, I'm going with you first. What do you got?
Well, I was just going to comment on the who would you call, but let's just jump into this, because there, like you said, there's so much in here, almost every page. But I think the thing at the top of page 252 deserves mention. A set of written goals, clear steps, written out what you're going to do, a vision, a picture. It talks about in one place about it was in that list of things. The last one in the list was visual and imagery control. where are you going? And Don likes to ask this question all the time. What do you want? And it really is a centering type of thing to get you to think in a very, very clear path so you know where you're going. So once you've got that clear path, just stay on it. And that's the part, that is a part of the mental toughness, just staying on track of where you want to go. So
when it comes to the recruiting piece, the wealth chart,
yep.
the goal right there, baby. Every day I'm seeing that. When it comes to real estate, having your 3 boards, your pending board, your listing board, your buyer board in your workspace, where that pending board has the top, let's just say you want 30 units a year, has the top 4 fields a different color. So you know those need to be filled with pending at all times. Staring at that. Absolutely. Having the goals in front of you, seeing them all the time, pumping those into your subconscious will actually turn your subconscious to work, making it happen. Don Hobbs, my friend, turn that mic hot and bring us home.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Mark, that was a sweet story. I'm like, I can't believe he's telling this story. So good to hear it. Thank you for sharing it and your love. And I love you, man. So I think the big thing when I think about the mental toughness deal is, guys, we have to understand that we're going to fail more than we're going to succeed. I don't care what sport you're in, what business you're in, you actually fail more than you succeed. It's just a fact. Baseball players strike out more, get more outs than they do hits. But I really want to take you through the big picture, because right now, while the market is feeling hard, and that's the news, that's the story, that's what realtors are talking about. I think that what you have to understand is that agents are falling by the wayside. We are watching agents leave. So if the market's compressed, but the agent count is also down, what happens? We have more business, we have more availability for us. Like, it isn't really changing. It's our heads that are changing. It's our heads that get in the wrong place. So I want to go back to one last thing before we go, and that is, you're in a long game. You're not in a short game. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon for sure. But I want to go to the issue of being in a game, because the game is fun. Russ wins some and loses some. Mark, you win some and you lose some, and you're in the game. You're just in the game. It's part of it. Like, it doesn't, like, some days suck and other days are like, yes. And you have victories and then something sucks. But what you have to remember is, it's not even the 4th quarter yet. It's not even the freaking 4th quarter. It doesn't matter what the score is right this second. What matters is that you keep playing the freaking game, that you focus on the long game, because the score will tell us at the end how it worked out, but we're not at the end. And you guys still get to keep shooting. You get to keep throwing the ball. You get to keep doing whatever it is that you do. And if you quit, then the game is over. And you've let yourself down and your own, Russ, I love that you said, we believe in you. I mean, we believe in you. I know what it looks like to be successful. I have helped a lot of people become successful. And you've got what it takes. The only question is, will you access it? Will you stay the course? Will you play the game long enough to win? Because every day that you lose, you learned. Every day that you miss, you learned. And that makes you better tomorrow. So again, guys, I don't care what the news is saying. I don't care who is elected president. I mean, I care. But the reality is, it doesn't impact you. It doesn't impact me. We don't live our lives through other people. We live our lives through us. We are the ones that dictate our futures. We are in charge of us. So that would be my my thought for you today, is mental toughness, man. Just hang in there and kick ass today.
Today gets to be where you begin again. Today gets to be where you say, okay, I am starting the next step. I am plussing this today. And that's our intention.